Candy, what time do you have? Do you have 5? My clock has disappeared on me.
I have 4:59.
All right.
Now I have 5.
Okay. It's 5 o'clock. Let's call the Village of Oregon Village Board meeting for Monday, May 3rd, 2021. In order. Candy, if you would do us the honor of taking roll call, please.
Bashan,
Here.
Velo,
Here.
Balig,
Colleague is here.
Glish,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Stitch, and
Actually-
Wunsch.
Candy, he will not be here tonight.
Stitch will not be here tonight? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready? All right, rolling along here. We're on number 3, swearing in of new police officer Cody Keller. A start date of May 10th. Is Cody with us, Chief? Okay. Cody, I can't see you, but if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me, we'll do this.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I, Cody E. Keller,
I, Cody E. Keller,
do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support and comply with the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the Constitution and laws of the state of Wisconsin,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the charter, laws, and ordinances of the Village of Oregon,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
the rules and regulations of the Village of Oregon Police Department,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as a sworn officer of the Oregon Police Department,
And I will assume my duties as of May 10th, 2021.
and I will assume my duties as of May 10th, 2021.
All right, congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. So Chief Pagenkopf is going to say a few things, and then Cody, if you want to say something, that would be terrific.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Randy.
bet.
And I am definitely honored to welcome our newest officer, Cody, to our department and our community. Just to give you a quick background on Cody, he was born and raised in Monroe, Wisconsin, attended high school through Madison and then Milton. At the age of 17, he enlisted in the Wisconsin Army National Guard. He served as a staff sergeant in the Wisconsin Air National Guard as a combat medic and served as a security forces supervisor at Truex Field in Madison. He currently resides in Osan, Indiana. That's essentially just a short background on him. I won't go into depth on our hiring process, but to give you an idea of the process he went through, Cody went through multiple interviews, a very thorough background investigation, a medical examination, which included a drug panel, a psychological exam, and then ultimately he was approved by our police commission for hire. I will tell you, it's not easy. It's certainly challenging finding good people to bring into this profession. I, along with the rest of my team, we will work as hard as we can to find the right people that are committed and are going to join me and the rest of the Oregon Police Department in taking good care of this community. I will tell you, Cody right away came across to all that were involved in the hiring process as personable, genuine. He has experience being put in very tense situations and has proven his level of professionalism and commitment. Me coming into this profession a year ago, this is one of the most exciting things of my job. There's definitely challenging parts of my job. This is definitely one of the most exciting. And I really do feel Cody is going to be a great fit for our police department, and will do well. I've seen his level of commitment serving in our military service, and I'm excited to see his level of commitment for our community. I certainly want to welcome him to our police department. Thank you.
Chief, thank you. So,
Randy,
yes,
this is Matt. I have a request that for items 4 and 5, that we take the agenda down because I can only see one person when the agenda's up at a time, and I'd like to be able to see people. Would that be allowed?
so Matt, you're asking what we do it after a
Remove-
while? What?
During items 4 and 5 on the agenda, if we could remove the agenda from the Zoom screen, because when the agenda's up, I can't see anything
Okay.
really other than the agenda.
Yeah, me too. So, okay.
Now I can see everyone.
Okay. All right. So Chief, do we want to have Officer Keller say a few words? Would you like to?
Yeah, if you'd like to.
Cody?
Yes, sir, that would be great. And yes, Chief, thank you. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank the entire village of the board of the village of Oregon, as well as all of the Oregon Police Department and Police Chief in attendance tonight. I have some family and friends that are viewing here as well, and a lot of friends that I consider family. I just want to thank them for supporting me in this journey. It's been a long journey throughout my entire life, but especially this process. Doing this through Zoom, and I didn't even meet the chief until a couple of weeks ago after we went through most of the process already. COVID and living 6 hours away kind of put a damper on that, but I'm really excited to get up there. I'm moving back this Friday. I'm really excited to get up there and start serving the community and be around everybody. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you and welcome. Welcome again to the village. Okay, let's go to number 4, which is recognition of Village Administrator Mike Grace. May 3rd, which is today, is his retirement date. And first we have a proclamation honoring Mike Grace on his retirement. And requested board actions is to approve the proclamation. So I would entertain a motion to approve the proclamation.
So moved.
Okay, who is,
I
Oh,
moved
no,
it.
second.
all right, who was first?
Mike.
All right, Mike, thank you. And Derek, you were second? Okay, and Candy, I was told that you would like to read the proclamation. All right,
I guess that's news to me, but I will read it for
well, that's what
sure.
I was told.
Let me pull it up here. All right. All right. This is a proclamation honoring Mike Grace on his retirement as village administrator. Whereas Mike Grace began his service as the Village of Oregon's first administrator on January 18th, 1999, and will retire on May 3rd, 2021, after 22 years of exemplary service to the community. And whereas throughout his service, Mike has built cooperative working relationships and completed many significant projects with numerous village officials, village staff, other government organizations, community groups, design and development professionals, and other members of the community. And whereas Mike has distinguished himself as a hardworking and dedicated public servant, at all times committed to helping his community and administering procedures with a sense of fairness, and has provided invaluable leadership and guidance. And whereas in good times and in difficult times, Mike has dealt with a diverse range of people in and out of Village Hall, and always remained patient and understanding. And whereas his colleagues know him as a steady, dependable leader who takes pride in his work and in his community. And whereas Mike's contributions as an intelligent, hardworking, dedicated, and calm individual are unparalleled and will be greatly missed by board members and village staff. Now therefore, be it declared that the members of the village board wish to extend their sincere appreciation and gratitude to Mike for his countless contributions to the community. And it is further declared that the members of the village board wish Mike the very best in his much deserved retirement, and wish him and his family continued health, happiness, and prosperity.
Very good, Candy. Thank you for reading that. Yeah, we're all clapping, Mike, for you.
Thank you.
So maybe, Mike, before you say a couple words, I think there's a couple other folks on the Zoom call who would like to say a few words. Jeannie or Steve or Matt?
Go ahead, Jeannie.
Oh, okay. So I saw that Candy had to turn her camera off because she got probably emotional. So I'm not an emotional person. I'm getting emotional, Mike. So I wanted to, I wanted to thank you, first of all, just for being so positive. And I know Steve will say this too. When you're village president, it's a sense of sometimes you're overwhelmed and you're not sure how to make the best decisions or how to present things to the board. And Mike, you're always so calm and so reassuring. And even when we hit roadblocks, and I know Steve knows this too, you would say, you know, let's think about it. And the next day you'd come back with a whole new plan. And everything that you did for the village, you did with your heart because you live here, you represent the village well. And most of all, you made and make the village board's job very easy. You make us look good. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you.
Okay, so I have a few comments. First, I certainly agree with everything in that proclamation and what Jeannie said also. So I had the privilege of serving on the village board for 16 years while Mike was there, 12 of those as village president. So we worked closely together for a long time. And I can say that was enjoyable and I think productive. And we also developed a close friendship out of that. One thing I realized right away and saw throughout my tenure was that Mike's first priority was always what was best for the village. He would say to us that he provides information, the village board sets policy. And I heard him say that a lot of times, and that's completely accurate. And along that line, Mike never withheld information from the village board or the public. He was always transparent, upfront, and helpful. Mike was hardworking, he was honest, he was positive, he was open-minded, he was a person of integrity, he was even-keeled, and he was a very effective leader. And part of that leadership can be seen in his skills in helping to hire excellent employees in all of our departments. Our village is well-staffed in all of our departments, and that's in part because of the standard that Mike set in what was expected from employees. It's also important in a community like Oregon to work closely with other municipalities. And Mike, I think, always took the framework of we're several municipalities, but we are all one community. And I think that's a powerful statement because there are boundaries that set the municipalities, but there's a lot of things that cross those boundaries that need to happen for governments to get along. So since Mike arrived, there have been great changes in Oregon. I would hate to try to develop a list, but he has left a very large and enduring and positive stamp on the village. 22 years is very commendable. I don't know what the normal tenure is of an administrator, but that seems like a really long time to me. So obviously he was doing a good job and was liked and appreciated by those that were keeping in touch with what was happening. He has made us one of the leading, if not the leading communities in Dane County. And that's a high standard because Dane County is a great county. There are a lot of nice municipalities. It's the best county in the state and one of the best across the country. So Mike, congratulations for that. You've left your stamp here. It's a great honor on your part. We really appreciate that. I very much enjoyed working with you throughout those 16 years. And I would say to everyone that we owe Mike a significant debt of gratitude. Enjoy your retirement. It's well earned. And I hope to see you on a bike path someday. And maybe at the main tab.
Maybe.
All right.
It's one of Mike's hangouts.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Who else?
Randy, I think Jason Letha with Rupert Milky is on.
Yeah, please.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I'd like to just say a few words about Mike as well. We're a consultant. Rupert Milky has served the village for many years in the planning, development, and engineering side. And I would say not not that we've always been treated that way, but sometimes consultants can be treated like consultants, and I've never felt that with Mike and his team at the village. I mean, we were always a team. We were always functioning together. We had great conversations. And as I kind of grew, there's a lot, I think, to learn from Mike's leadership. And I think the proclamation as well, I agree with Steve, said a lot of the stuff that I had thought, you know, as far as his patience, his thoughtfulness, his approach, you know, all those things were things that I feel like I've learned from and that we can take away from how we work with communities as a consultant. And you know, there's ideas that have come out of Oregon that I've used with other communities of how to approach things. And I think a lot of that's really stemmed from Mike. So I've always appreciated his direction, his patience, his approach, working with developers, trying to grow the community. I think there's a lot Oregon has to be proud of. I think you guys are setting an example that others would like to follow, and it's certainly not for lack of Mike's leadership. So I certainly know that will be missed, but I know you're in good hands with the group you have there, and you know, I wish you well, Mike. It's always been a pleasure working with you, and hope to see you around as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Randy?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing I've actually been saving this for about 4.5, 5 years now. Each year we thought he was going to retire, but this is something I came across when I was going through my predecessor's files, and you can tell your dad I found this, but Derek, but this was an article from the March 1981 Capital Times. And it was the title of it was "Changing Times Mark Oregon Races." And in that, they were interviewing the candidates for village president, and obviously asking kind of things that were on their minds and things and kind of platforms they were running on. And one of the individuals who was running was a gentleman by the name of John Struck. And I do not know him and anything, but he had this to say in the newspaper, and what I want to say before I say this is, never has a newspaper a quote in a newspaper been more incorrect than in this situation. And I'll just read this from the article from 1981. Struck opposes hiring a village administrator for the village of Oregon. He sees it as an unnecessary expense. He said he knew of only one similar community, DeForest, that couldn't manage its own affairs without the village administrator. And then he says, quote, "The exceptionally good ones won't stay. They'll be looking for bigger and better opportunities," he said, "and the bad ones you are stuck with." And so we like to say that that is not correct. Mike is, we have been blessed as staff to have you on, teaching us, guiding us, directing us, correcting us when we need. I think I would speak for many of the staff that it is a true joy to work with you, under you, and for you. We look forward to your retirement, as far as just knowing that it's a lot of hard-earned work that's got you to this day. And we hope that someday we'll have this day as well. It'll probably be 20, 30, 40 years from now, but that's all right. So the staff, we talked around about what we could do to honor Mike going forward. And Candy, this is okay that I talk about this, correct? No, okay, that's what I thought. So what we've decided, if you know Mike, one of his joys is bike riding, and he loves the bike paths. And I have no doubt he's going to be calling me to tell me about everything that's wrong with one bike path one way or another. I'll probably be getting lots of emails and stuff.
Yep.
But
True.
But what we would like to do is, staff is going to be contributing funds, and there's some other outside funds and everything that we are going to put a bench and some trees alongside the bike path out at Keller Alpine Park, and honoring you as our village administrator for over 20 years. And we look forward to being able to kind of do that and work with that. And with that, I'm going to kind of let Matt Dragney, one of the strongest, greatest legal minds of our day, comment, and Matt, you are muted, so make sure before you wax and wane, you don't have to, there you go. But to kind of do a little presentation as well.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff. I'll keep it short. Mike, I hope you know I've truly valued my working relationship and professional relationship with you over the years. Being a village attorney, I've been the village attorney or the city attorney in a number of communities. It can be very difficult, but working with you has been tremendously rewarding and valuable, and I thank you very much for that. I wish you all the best in your retirement. I hope that I have a chance to continue my relationship with you in one way or another, whether it be biking or in some other way. I don't want to lose that opportunity. So, I've got your new cell phone number. Thanks for sending that over. And I'll be looking for opportunities to get together. I don't know, Jeff didn't mention that. Jeff, can I mention what so Steph,
absolutely.
Yes, Stafford Rosenbaum and I are contributors to the bench and the trees. I actually called Jeff and said, we wanted to do something. Can you help figure out what would be a nice thing to do? And Jeff took that on, and I think the idea that he came up with and the fact that other staff are going to contribute to that was fantastic. We sure I appreciate that help. And someday we can go and hang out and sit on the bench, sit on the park bench, and watch the people go by. So anyway, it's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much, Mike. And thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt, thank you. Anybody else? All right, Mike, I guess you get the last word here. You like?
It's kind of overwhelming. And I hope it's not overwhelming for Martin stepping in my shoes after listening to all that.
Not getting a bench yet.
Yeah, he's not getting a bench yet, a couple of years yet. Martin's going to do a fantastic job here. I'm confident of that. But no, thank you to everyone that spoke. So thank you to all the staff members that I worked with over the years, the board members, particularly the village presidents. And I've always told people this, that every village president I work with never micromanage me. And I think Randy's going to continue that tradition of allowing the village administrator to sort of run his or her show. I think that's really valuable. And I just really appreciate everyone's support over all these years. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for the bench and trees. I know that's great to put that in the park. It's a fantastic idea. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Everyone's going to miss you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're clapping, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So number 5, we get to welcome our new village administrator, Martin Shanks. Martin, welcome to the village. You're still here. I guess that's a good sign after your first day. You survived, you're still here.
That's right.
Do you want to say a couple things, Martin?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll just thank the board for giving me the opportunity. Mike and the staff have been extremely welcoming. Mike had a 83-point to-do list when I came in the door. And we did manage to get through that list today. So we're on our way. Obviously big shoes to fill with Mike, but I'm very excited. And like I said, everybody's been really welcoming. I think this is going to be a good fit, and I'm very excited.
All right, Martin, thank you very much. I did tell you had 15 minutes, but that's okay.
Yeah,
you're good.
You can find something else to talk about.
Yes. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving. Then on the agenda, next is number 6 is community input, and this is part of the agenda that allows members of the public to provide information to the village board, including on items not listed on the board's agenda. Do we have anybody from the public who would like to speak for a couple minutes? I don't see anybody. Okay, I think we're good there. Thank you. We'll keep moving along here. Number 7, public appearance. Reading a proclamation by Director of Public Works, Jeff Rao, recognizing Gene Schultz for his outstanding service and dedication to the Village of Oregon. The requested board action is to approve the proclamation that we have in our packet, and then I believe that Jeff Rao is going to read it. So I will take a motion to approve.
Peterson will make that motion.
Thank you, Amanda. Can I have a second? Carlene, thank you very much. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Jeff, take it away.
Well, we have a lot of retirements going on, and these are good times when we can celebrate, the work that these individuals have contributed. Public Works is a lot of behind the scenes activity, and a lot of these individuals who work for Public Works do a lot of things that kind of go unnoticed or sometimes underappreciated. And Gene, we are going to miss Gene. Gene has been an outstanding employee with the village. He's a hard worker, and we had a real nice kind of just COVID friendly lunch farewell on Friday for him, and it was just really neat to see the different departments come together because Gene has helped out just about every building in the village in many different ways. And so we do wish he and his wife and his family well as he goes into retirement. And I'm proud to be able to read this. I wrote this for him, and I mean every word of it. So this is the proclamation recognizing Gene Schultz for his outstanding service and dedication to the Village of Oregon. The village board and staff of the Village of Oregon, Wisconsin wishes to recognize Gene Schultz for his many positive contributions to the Village of Oregon. Whereas Gene Schultz began his career with the Village of Oregon on February 26, 2001, and will be retiring from Public Works on April 30th, 2021, a total of 20 years and 2 months of dedicated service. And whereas Gene has been an integral part of our Public Works department as a Public Works crew person, assisting the village with many tasks ranging from street maintenance, utility work, park maintenance, brush handling, snow plowing, and many other tasks. And whereas Gene is a hardworking, dedicated, and detail-oriented individual who is constantly thinking of ways to accomplish a task more efficiently and effectively. And whereas Gene has a unique ability and talent in repair and maintenance of facilities, assisting all of our departments and facilities, including Village Hall, Police Department, Library, and Senior Center. And whereas Gene is an exceptional snowplow driver who has kept our 36 plus cul-de-sacs clean and clear of snow throughout many winters. Gene was praised in a 2021 Facebook post which stated, quote, "The snowplow guy who does Chelsea Court is an artist." And whereas Gene is a valued member of our team, is respected by his peers, and will be missed by all. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Oregon formally recognizes Gene Schultz and his many accomplishments he has achieved with the village, and we wish him the very best in his well-deserved retirement. Presented this May 3rd at the Village Board meeting. Thank you all.
All right. Jeff, Gene's not on the call with us, is he?
He may be watching in on the OCA media site and everything like that. So I think if if you want to wish him well, I think that would be great.
Certainly, Gene, from the Village Board of Oregon, we congratulate you on your dedication to the Village of Oregon and your retirement. So congratulations to you, Gene, if you're listening. All right, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
You bet.
Great guy.
All right, we are on to 7B, which is discussion with Ben Hobbins from Sons of American Revolution, SAR, regarding SAR's request to plant a Liberty tree at Prairie Mound Cemetery. Our possible action tonight is authorize Public Works to work with the Sons of the American Revolution in the planting and establishment of a Liberty elm tree at Prairie Mound Cemetery, honoring Revolutionary War veteran Nathan Ames. So Ben, I see you're on the call with us, and I know you've been talking to Jeff. Ben, do you want to give us a little background, and maybe Jeff has got something to add?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Congratulations to the new officer, and congratulations for the retirement and your new administrator coming into the village. I've been working with Jeff and with Candy quite extensively over email, and trying to get this initiative going to get a Liberty tree put in to the cemetery in honor of Nathaniel Ames, and also his ancestors, because many of the Ames ancestors served in the Civil War, in other wars as well over the years. And one thing distinctive about this Liberty tree is that it honors not only Nathaniel, but it honors all veterans at the same time. At this point, what we're looking to do is, and Jeff has done all the background work, and he's sent me photos and placement ideas, beautiful spot to potentially plant this Liberty tree near the Nathaniel Ames gravesite, in an appropriate place by a bench, and where that tree would grow very high and be very shadeful and provide a nice meeting place, not only for the Ames relatives, but for all people visiting the cemetery and schools and others that would want to come in and see what a Liberty tree is and what that all means. There's another project attached to this for July 4th that Jeff and Candy and I will get to at some point. Did you want me to mention anything about that, Jeff?
I'd say talk about it all tonight.
Okay. So what we plan on doing is, and we hope to do, is to plant a Liberty tree here, a big Triumph elm from McKay's Nursery right there in town. About a 16-footer, so a nice healthy tree. It's not going to likely die on us. It'll be a tree that already establishes some shade right off the bat. And then because the planting seasons for trees, we know that May is a good month for planting. Still, it's not too hot out. So Jeff and I were looking at that idea of planting it fairly soon. And then on July 4th, what we are proposing is to have a July 4th reading of the Declaration of Independence by the Sons of the American Revolution, the Sons of Union veterans of the Civil War, and then some other branches of the military also to be there with color guards, and especially marking the day with some Jefferson paper readings, and then also the history of the Nathaniel Ames family through the decades, and how they were patriots and veterans through many wars. Everyone knows that the U.S. we're coming up on our 250th, and every veteran is a patriot. It doesn't matter when you served, everyone's a patriot. And that's what the new symbolism is of the Liberty tree, is really a veteran's Liberty tree. And however, we do have Nathaniel, one of our most famous Revolutionary War patriots, who marked it and set it off. So we're proud to be able to offer this. It'll be a first of a kind event of anywhere that we know yet. So it'll bring some notoriety to the Village of Oregon. We're going to have some, sorry, I said Oregon. That's how you.
Oh, that's all
right. I know it's Oregon. Over in the West, I'm online right now from California, and everyone corrects me to say Oregon because that's how they pronounce the state up north here. So I've been harassed for years out of here on that. It's a really great opportunity with that Liberty elm tree to draw in the Wisconsin K-12 school districts into the history of America's founding. These days, it can be controversial, and when we talk about veterans and people that lay down their lives and all the families that were affected, and the kids and the widows, we know that this is not something that we're going to put to the side. So this particular initiative is, again, it's a one of a kind. I'm the president of the Nathaniel Ames chapter in Madison, and I'm also vice senior commander of the Sons of Union Veterans of Camp 2 as well. And John Decker, who knows Randy personally, he's the camp commander. So our plan is to collaborate, and obviously everyone will be welcome, from the scouts on up, our police union people, everybody, fire, EMS, and our 5 branches. So we intend this to be very patriotic.
All right, Ben, thank you. Jeff, anything to add?
No,
Okay.
we've identified a spot up in the cemetery that is part of a kind of an old driveway that was not being used, and it's right adjacent to the Ames family plots. And so it would be able to be, it won't be on any other grave sites or anything like that. So
Okay.
it's a good spot.
All right, village board members, here's our possible action. Again, I'll just read it and then we'll get a motion in a second, please. Possible action, authorize Public Works to work with the Sons of the American Revolution in planting and establishment of Liberty Elm Tree at Prairie Mound Cemetery, honoring Revolutionary War veteran Nathan Ames. So I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, can we get a second? Amanda?
Yep.
Okay,
Second.
any other discussion? Ben, thanks for the good overview on that. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Hopefully I didn't put people to sleep.
No, that's okay, Ben. All right,
Thank you, guys.
let's take a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, excellent. Thank you, Ben, for being on the call with us.
Thank you, Randy.
You bet.
And this is Jeff Rouse. So just have McKay, why don't you have McKay contact us so we can coordinate,
Okay.
hopefully getting that planted soon for you.
Okay. I'll be emailing you and Candy.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, moving on. We're on to 7C. We are canceling. There was a public hearing that we were going to have for liquor license application for Good Company, but that has been postponed. The applicant withdrew his application. They'll be submitting a new application in the future before us. So we don't have to take any action there. 8 is approval of minutes. And Mike tells me we can do all 3 of them together. One is, first one is April 12th, April 19th, and April 20th. If I can have a motion to accept those minutes. Derek, I see your hand. Can I get a second? All right, Carlene, thank you. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, good. All right, we're moving along. On to 9. This is always our favorite, approval of the vouchers. So we are looking to approve the vouchers in the amount of $689,938.79. And so I'll entertain a motion in a second to get it on the floor, and then we'll see if there's any discussion. So I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Amanda. Can I have a second?
Jerry.
Who was it?
Jerry.
Jerry, thank you, Jerry. I don't see you, so thanks for speaking up.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
speak up from now on.
All right,
And I do have a question, Randy.
all
Can I
right,
get a minute?
Jerry.
Okay. First question is regarding the tree and brush shredding. For what period is that? Is that
Jerry, what
after-
number is it? Tell us what numbers we can find it.
It's number 5796.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe it's like
Is that-
$12,000 or $13,000, correct?
Yes, is
Yeah,
that for 6 months, 3 months?
It's approximately 6 months.
Thank you. Next question, we've got a number of billings from Rupert Milky, but the ones I'm wondering about are Lake Barney meeting and the Badfish draining meeting. Is there any new information regarding those waterways?
Sure. Yeah, so on the Lake Barney thing, I will be inviting the engineer that just did the engineering study on Lake Barney. They're gonna present that to the board coming up here pretty soon. Hopefully in May, if not early June. That's a very, very detailed, very, very well done report that really does give a good scope and breadth and option alternative analysis for what we can try to do, long-term management of Lake Barney.
Yeah.
So
Jeff, that'll be a future item for us.
Yep, that's a future item, exactly. And then the other question was at for the drainage district. We're continuing to move forward. We'll be bringing a proposal before you for the wetland delineation of Lerner Park in that area. That is our next step in the permitting process that we'll have to take, and we'll likely be using Rupert Milky for that work.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Number 13070, G-Pro Excavating, Storm Sewer, the Foxborough pipeline that we spoke about I think it was last fall.
Well, that's the final payment for that. So that's the last payment for that. And that was just something that they had never billed us on.
Oh, okay. So is that project done?
Oh, yeah, it's been done.
So the Foxborough, the north end is all dewatered now?
The project's been done for a long time.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to say that very nicely.
Jerry, anything else?
I'm looking here.
Okay.
No, that'll be all, Randy. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other board members, any questions on the vouchers that you have? Okay, hearing none. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Randy, that needs to be a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Yep.
Thank you for checking that. Let's do the roll call, Candy.
All right. Wunsch,
Yes.
Belo,
Yes.
Glish,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Balig,
Yes.
and Beshin.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Very good. Okay, we're on to 10, proclamations and announcements. And A is board comments. Anybody on the village board have any comments they would like to make to us at this time? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go to 10B, staff comments. Mike, you saw me just read it, the reminder of the senior center, or maybe Rachel wants to say something about the Brat Bash.
Yeah. Would just invite the community to come down to the senior center on Friday between 11 and 1 to pick up a brat or a hot dog. We'll be selling them as quickly as we can. Hopefully we'll have people coming in. We're asking that people come into the parking lot from the east. So drive in front of the library and come into our parking lot from that direction. There'll be directing traffic. So we look forward to having the community turn out and enjoy a brat or a hot.
So Rachel, I got a feeling you're going to have a lot of customers on Friday. And did I also hear there was potential? Is there any delivery? Or am I making that up?
I think she's frozen, I think.
Okay.
I do think she mentioned at the last meeting.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. So 11 to 1 on Friday. I know I'm going. That's going to be my lunch for Friday. So I think they're going to have a good crowd. So thank you. All right. B10, B2 is upcoming meetings. May 17th is a board meeting. May 19th is the Board of Review from 4 to 6.
Yep.
Okay. We're on to 11, which is the village attorney, village administrators report. A is overview of open meeting. Oh, I just lost it. Hold on. Open meeting law and other municipal rules and regulations. So Matt and Mike or Martin. Oh, wait, we're putting Martin on the spot, aren't we? All right, I think it's Matt.
Yeah, I think I'm on the spot on this one.
All right.
And a little background is Matt and I have done this with other boards. And we just thought with so many new board members, it's good to kind of go through this with them, and then just a refresher for the other board members just to go through, and also staff just to see this overview presented by Matt. So that's why we're doing it.
Okay. So this is somewhat dry material. Sorry, nothing I can do about that. But I'll try and get through it as efficiently as I can. So the first part of the discussion involves the open meetings law. I know some of you are familiar with it. Some of you may have less familiarity. The purpose of the open meetings law is to make sure that the public has both notice of meetings of governmental bodies and the opportunity to attend those meetings. In our democracy, that's deemed fundamental. And so the basic, as it says in 1A here, all meetings of local governmental bodies must be preceded by public notice, publicly held in places reasonably accessible to the public and open to all citizens at all times, unless otherwise expressly allowed. This requirement applies to any governmental body. And so in the village, that means the village board and any village committee, any commission. Occasionally we find the village appointing special purpose committees, ad hoc committees, and the open meetings law applies there as well. What gets a little more complicated is knowing when we actually have a meeting, what the law would define as a meeting. And there are a number of things to say about that. First, the statute says that a meeting is presumed to happen if you have 1/2 or more of the members of the governmental body present. There is a rebuttable presumption in the law that if you have 1/2 or more of the members present, those members are together for the purpose of conducting governmental business, and it's a meeting. That presumption can be rebutted. So there can be circumstances where, you have more than half of the members together in the same place at the same time, but they're not gathered for the purpose of conducting governmental business, and it's not a meeting. But the burden would be on you to show that if there were a challenge. The courts have really developed a 2-part test for determining whether there's a meeting. And it's one part is the purpose test and the other is the numbers test. And the purpose part of the test asks whether the purpose of the gathering is for discussing or deciding or information gathering regarding governmental business. I mentioned the information gathering just to highlight, for example, if the village board decided to go do a site visit somewhere to see something, that would be for the purpose of gathering information. If you're gathering it, if you're going to for the purpose of looking at something in connection with village business, that's considered a meeting and it needs to be noticed as such. So that's the purpose part of the test. The numbers part of the test is a little complicated. And the basic question is whether the number of members who are participating is sufficient to determine the body's course of action. That could be enough members to affirmatively approve a measure, or you could have what's called a negative quorum, or the negative power to defeat a proposal. Well, I see somehow I have a Stoughton reference in here, and that's because I've given this presentation to Stoughton as well. Let's use an Oregon example. You have 7 members on the village board. It would take, if you're assuming that you're going to have a full complement of set board members at a meeting, I guess it would take 4 members to either approve or disapprove a measure. But things can get a little complicated when you recognize that a quorum is really only 4 members. So you can get to some interesting places when you start doing the numbers test here. Let's assume there are going to be 4 members at the meeting. It would take 3 members to pass something, 2 members to defeat something. So there can be circumstances under which 2 members of the village board discussing governmental business in advance of a meeting could constitute a quorum, or excuse me, a negative quorum, enough to defeat a measure. And I don't say this to say that two members of the village board can't discuss village business. I would say, as a general rule, if it's only two of you, that's not going to be a problem unless you have some reason to believe that there are only going to be four of you at a meeting and two of you have the ability to affect the outcome. Then we're talking about a violation. A walking quorum occurs when you have a series of meeting or gatherings over time. So you don't necessarily have to have a single event in which you've satisfied the numbers test and the purpose test to have a meeting. You could have a series of separate meetings that collectively would constitute or meet the numbers test. So you have to bear that in mind. I have the watering hole meeting in here because I know in many communities, there are situations where there's, members of a governmental body will gather, for example, at a favorite watering hole, maybe after a meeting to talk about business. And you really are not allowed to do that unless you are noticing that meeting and meeting the requirements of the open meetings law. The community organization meeting here. Oh, I get more Stoughton stuff in here. Some communities do have interest groups that are active and invite members of the governing body to come to their meetings where they may be discussing village business. And this can put you in a position where you are actually subjecting yourself to the open meetings law. Again, you need to be careful if you are going to be attending that kind of a meeting that a community organization is sponsoring or inviting you to discuss something that's a matter of village business. If you think that the numbers test is going to be satisfied, you need to make sure that is noticed. Let's talk a little bit about written correspondence and emails. And I rely heavily on the Attorney General's office for how they have interpreted the open meetings law in this context. Generally speaking, if someone who, say, a member of the village board sends a letter to other board members, it's a one-way communication without any response, no conversation-like interaction. The Attorney General's office has said that is likely not going to constitute a meeting. Email seems to be a riskier proposition. If a trustee sends an email to all of the other trustees about a village issue, and you then start to see responses to that email, you could find yourself engaging in effectively a conversation over email about a matter of village business. And again, if the numbers test and the purpose test are satisfied, that could end up constituting a meeting that would violate the open meetings law. And so the Attorney General has strongly discourages the members of governmental bodies from using electronic mail to communicate about issues within the body's realm of authority. And I would say, based on what I have seen, that's in many cases, that's good advice. Let's talk a little bit about social gatherings. So anyone who wants to meet me for a brat on Friday, I think that's okay. That's a social gathering. We won't talk about village business. So you can participate in a social gathering that's not, being held for the purpose of governmental business. It's not intended to avoid the open meetings law. That's not going to subject you to the open meeting law. But do remember, if we meet the numbers test, if we've got half or more of the members, it's presumed to be a meeting. There's a rebuttable presumption, but social gatherings are allowable without giving notice. What is adequate notice? The members of the governing body typically don't have to worry about that. This is something that staff generally deals with, but it has to be specific enough and detailed enough so that people know what it's about. Public comment periods. Well, as you know, because you see them on your agendas, they are authorized. But you have to be careful because the agenda for our meetings, when it talks about public comment periods, you don't know what the comments are going to be. You don't know what issues people are going to raise. So you can't use a public comment period that's noticed on agenda to go beyond receiving public comment. You can't choose then to start discussing and taking action on something that wasn't specifically noticed on your agenda simply because someone brought it up during the public comment period. And our agenda gives pretty good information about how to handle that. Then closed session. Closed session is allowed, but only when there is a statutory basis to do that. There has to be a specific statute that allows for the board or the governmental body to meet in closed session. If you know or anticipate that something will be discussed in closed session, you have to give notice of that ahead of time. It is possible to have a closed session that you did not anticipate. So you can go into closed session during a meeting that wasn't noticed for a closed session if the circumstances allow, but there may then be limitations on your ability to reconvene in open session. And then finally, voting in open versus closed session. Again, the Attorney General advises that governing body should vote in open session, generally speaking, unless the vote itself is clearly an integral part of the closed session process. In other words, if voting in open session would be inconsistent with the legal basis for meeting in closed session in the first place, you can in some cases justify voting in closed session. I've included, I believe, with the materials, a lengthy article published by the League of Wisconsin Municipalities called Understanding and Complying with Wisconsin's Open Meetings Law. There's also a compliance guide that the Department of Justice makes available on its website discussing the open meetings law. And of course, you're always free to contact, in the future, it'll be your new village administrator. If you have a question or concern, and your administrator is welcome to reach out to me for guidance. So that's the open meetings law. Let me stop there before we go on and ask if anyone has any questions about the open meetings law.
Matt, it looked like Carlene maybe had a question. Carlene, would you like to ask?
Sure. So Amanda and I are members of the Oregon Area Progressives. We meet regularly. Those meetings are open to anybody who wants to attend. Several people in this group have attended those meetings in the past. But it is an organization that has questions and takes actions on lots of different things. And so I would see that as an open meeting, but I don't know. We don't limit who can come, in other words.
Yeah, so I think the issue there is whether or not there needs to be notice given to the public that meeting is taking place and that it may constitute a village board meeting. And so if you, or a committee meeting, let's say, for example, that you and Amanda are members of a particular village committee that is interested in or that may be taking up a matter that this group might be discussing. You have to ask, is there a matter of a potential village issue that's going to be discussed? So in other words, is the purpose test satisfied? Are you going to be discussing with this group, how it believes the village should handle something, or how you believe the village should handle something? So if you've got the purpose test satisfied, then you have to move into the numbers test and ask, are there enough members of either the village board or a village committee, for example, participating in this meeting such that it needs to be noticed as a meeting of that body? And so those are questions that, we can help you navigate, but it may be that in some cases, we would say, I would conclude, yes, you need to that needs to be noticed as a meeting of, even though the intent is that it's not a meeting of the committee or the village board, it's a meeting of this organization. If you have enough members of the board or of a particular committee attending, the law would say that's a meeting of the committee, or that's a meeting of the board, and the public has to be given notice that that's happening, and it has to have the opportunity to attend that.
Does that help, Carlene?
Yeah, I know that we have on our Facebook, I'm just gonna put it in the chat because I don't know where else to do it. I noticed that says that the meetings are open.
Right, so what I would say is, that's the Oregon Area Progressives giving notice of their meeting and saying it's open. But what I'm saying is, if it's going to qualify as a meeting of the village board or a village committee, then it will have to be separately noticed as that. You have to give notice to the public and say, hey, this village committee or the village board is conducting a meeting. And here's what time it is, and here's where it is, and you have a right to come. Not presenting, not noticing it as a meeting of Oregon Area Progressives, but rather posting it as a meeting of that village body. See the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should discuss this further because Amanda and I are both always at those meetings.
Well, and again, there's two of you. So if you're only serving on the village board together, then in many cases, I would say 2 will not satisfy the numbers test. But if you know, Amanda and I are going to be there and we expect 2 other trustees to attend as well, now you're talking about the numbers test being satisfied. Or let's say you and Amanda are both on a committee together. And I think in the village, our standing committees are generally what? 3 or 4, I can't remember how many people.
3.
3, okay. Well, if you and Amanda are both on a committee, the 2 of you together are a majority of that committee. So you would always be a majority. If the 2 of you are meeting, you would always have a meeting of that committee happening.
So
Yeah, Amanda.
yeah, I was just going to say I'm not as concerned about this just because there have been times in the past, like a handful, less than 5 maybe, where before Carlene was on the board, but Jenna and I were on the board and Jenna attended an OAP meeting. But there are meetings where we didn't discuss village business. So it doesn't always come up. It's not like, you know, we were just very careful what we discussed at the meetings where she was there. We were both, I'm kind of hyper aware of that when I'm in meetings, and it's just a matter of being careful. And if someone brings something up, stopping it and saying, we cannot discuss that. We have 2 trustees in this meeting. It ends here, or one of us has to leave the meeting, or, you know.
So the rest of you can never attend an OAP meeting unless you live.
No,
and
just we can't discuss village
but
business.
I just want us to not ever look like we are at, in having a conflict of interest. And so I'm just really, appreciative of those precautions.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions for Matt? Matt, are you finished, or you need to?
I'd be happy to stop there if you've had enough. The other thing that the materials include information about ethics. Do you want to talk about that? We can, or we could do that another time. There's also information in here about public records, which frankly, I don't think you need to be concerned about getting a presentation on, because if there's a request for public records, typically you guys aren't the ones that need to deal with that. So I leave it to you.
Randy, this is Mike. I really thought it was important just to talk about the walking quorum and the test issue. And I think that's, we are always, and I appreciate Amanda's comment, that I think we've been very careful about that for many, many years here, maybe more careful than other communities. And so I think we do a really good job because of the board members' attention to that. So I think that's what my main point was to try to bring up tonight with Matt's help.
So Matt, one of the things I just want to say, I try to be very careful. We got to be careful about what we put in emails too, especially if we're using our village email, because those are subject to open records law. Am I correct?
You are absolutely correct. And you should only use your village email account to communicate, to do village business. If you're going to do village business by email, do it only on your village email account, because you don't want your personal email account to become, shall we say, contaminated with village business, because then you'd be opening your personal email up to a scrutiny.
Okay, and so Jerry had a comment and then Amanda.
Thank you, Randy. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to expand on Mike's comment. Was it 2006 that the Attorney General got called in down here? Mike?
I think before that, it was during the mid 2000s sometime. I don't
Yeah,
really-
well, anyway, it doesn't really matter. But the
Yeah.
whole point is I had to go through that as a trustee.
Yeah.
And we had the Attorney General's office down here. And believe me, they had an in-depth investigation regarding walking quorum. So I think this little overview is well worth it. Because believe me, I never want to have to go through that again, ever. It's
Okay.
very uncomfortable.
All right, Jerry, thanks. Amanda?
Yeah, thanks. I just have a tip for new board members. If somebody contacts you that you're friends with about village business through Facebook, through Messenger, through some other medium, a tip that I use is to take a screenshot of it and send it to your village email and then respond using your village email. And make sure that they know in the future that anything that is sent to you about village business is subject to the open records law, and ask them to please use your email from now on to contact you about that, or pick up the phone. Phone calls are okay too. But that's a tip, and then there's a record of it, and you can show that they contacted you and you responded using your official capacity. It's a way of like keeping yourself safe.
Yeah, keep yourself out of trouble. Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, Matt, thank you for the overview, and as you said.
Excuse me, Randy.
Oh, yes?
How do text messages fit into all of this?
Text messages, if they are about village business, if they are, not private text messages, they are also subject to the public records law. And so if you are conducting village business or discussing village issues over text, those are subject to, you should not be doing that on your personal devices, unless you want those to become subject to record retention requirements and public records law requirements. All public records are required to be retained for not less than 7 years, unless there's a special rule that allows you to retain it for less than that. So again, I would just encourage you to not use your phone texting to do village related work.
So we're safer if we just don't talk to anyone.
No, you're safer if you conduct your communications either in properly noticed public meetings or over village email accounts. So for example, I've been involved in having to deal with public records requests where all emails sent by any trustee on all emails, text messages, etc., by any trustee have been requested. It's much easier if we can call the village's IT consultant and say, we'd like to run a search of the village's email server to capture all emails on this subject. Then if I have to go to every single individual trustee and say, we need to search your phone. You don't want to be in that position.
All right. Sorry, Mike, I can't see you, so I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
That's okay.
Anybody else? Okay, Matt, thank you. And thank you for the additional information you gave us too in the packet. Okay, let's move on then. We're on to C, posting of village bulletin boards and publication requirements. Possible action, board direction regarding posting at Bill's Food Store. We had a little bit of a discussion at our last meeting. So I don't know who wants to start with this one.
And again, this is Mike, Randy.
Yeah.
it was good that the board talked about this, because when I talked to Matt about it, Matt said that there's been a lot of changes in state law, so it was good to go back and see if we were doing the right thing, the way we were posting and so forth. And so Matt had Rick in his office prepare the memo that's in the packet for the board's review.
Okay. So Mike, the bottom line is, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And
Yes, I say that what we're doing with the three public places that we post in 3 buildings that we own, that we control the bulletin boards, is safe, the safest thing to do. But that if the board wants to post at Bill's or another store, another bulletin board, they're free to do that. But we don't want to take the chance that somebody would take a post off a bulletin board on one that we don't control. I think, Matt, that's what you and I sort of summarized after looking at this memo, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little complicated, but
Yeah.
the memo describes what your options are. And, if the board wants to use posting in at least 3 public places, then, there is an advantage to posting in a place that you control, like one of your facilities. If you wanted, one of the things I wanted to mention is that, I mean, I think the places should be approved by the village board, and there should be consistency. So if you wanted to change and say, well, let's change one of our places to Bill's, or let's add Bill's, so now you're posting at the same 3 that you're doing now, but Bill's. The question is, how confident are you that the Bill's site is going to be reliable? So that if somebody is relying on that location, if you post there, are you confident that it's going to be respected and not taken down? So you could choose to do it. It's up to you, but having both consistency and control over where you're doing it is practically speaking is a valuable thing.
Carleen, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, so I was the person who brought that up just because Bill's is probably more public than the others. I understand that the village doesn't own it or control it. So, I would just think that having one more place, and if it were approved, would be a good thing, but certainly not necessary. I just feel like it's the more opportunities for public engagement, the better.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So Mike, it looks like we don't, no action.
Correct. Yep, correct.
All right. All right, let's go to D, which is the new library building project. Discussion, possible action, amended memorandum understanding, MOU, related to the construction of a new municipal library. And our recommended motion is to approve the amended MOU. And there's a note there that the library board will consider adopting the amended MOU at their May 12th meeting. So I don't know, is Jennifer on, or somebody want to give, do we need any background on this, Mike?
Jennifer, you want to do it, Jennifer?
Yeah, so when the village board approved additional funding for the library board back in February, that made the need to amend the MOU, which had included the previous amount. I thought it would be really easy to just go through the document and replace 6 million with 10 million and we would be done. But it turns out that the way the village is structuring the borrowing over multiple years necessitates that we amend this document to reflect that process. Before the document was structured, that the borrowing for the new library would happen after we got a successful public bid. And Matt has provided some language for us to, I think under 3B that's on your screen right now, he added that section reflecting that some of the borrowing would be conducted this year, and that the board anticipates borrowing the remainder next year and potentially the following year. So that is new language under 3B there. Matt, is there any other pieces that you want to highlight?
Well, we have if you go down to step 8, we also we modified step 8 also to speak to the borrowing process, and also to reflect, I think, that the sequence had been modified slightly. I can't remember exactly how. But now the steps in the process are, step 7 is publicly bid. And then assuming there's a bid received from a responsible bidder that is within budget, it says then barring presently unforeseen circumstances, the board expects that it will adopt a resolution authorizing the library board to award the contract and also adopt an initial resolution to proceed with borrowing. What do we have? $8.5 million.
That's the
Yeah, which is the balance of the funding. And I think that was the discussion was that before, that when you authorize the library board to proceed with awarding a contract, you would also, we think, at that time, adopt an initial resolution relating to the remaining borrowing that would be necessary.
Yeah. And I think part of the intent behind that too was we wanted to make sure that the library board wants to make sure when they approve that contract that the funding is secure, and that they have the village board authorization to do that under the state statute. So that was what we were trying to address.
Okay. So it really is just sort of an update, just to make sure that we're doing everything correctly.
Well, it's setting it's reflecting the way we're now doing it versus before, Randy. We're going to go out for bid, get the bid in, and then the village is going to borrow the money. Now we're borrowing it over over 3 years. So it's
okay.
I think now the MOU is consistent. MOU is consistent in what we're doing.
Okay.
In real time.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So the recommended motion is to approve this amended.
Randy?
Yes.
So I'm assuming that the 8.5 million that's earmarked for future borrowing, that was taken into account when the village pursued the process to issue $12 million in bonds, and that we're covered for all of this.
The $12 million, Mike, included the original 1.5 for the library. The rest of the borrowing is going to happen over 22 and 23, and that shows up in our CI, the capital improvement plan.
But we're not expecting that with that borrowing, that's going to affect our Moody's rating or anything like that.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, every year, the staff has the call with Moody's, and the fact that we were able to keep our rating borrowing $12.5 million, I feel pretty comfortable we won't lose it. But you never know until you have the call with Moody's in that particular year.
Okay. All right. So recommended motion, approve the amended MOU. Can I get a motion, please? Amanda?
So moved.
Okay, and Mike, second. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're on to E, discussion possible action agreement for land division improvements for Bergamot Development Phase 5-3.
Hey, Randy, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted for the board's attention, we also put as
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike, I missed that. It's together.
It's okay. We just put as this is what the library board's looking at for the request for proposal corners rep. We talked about that at the last joint meeting.
Yeah.
So this is just background for the board to read.
Just FYI.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mike, it was all together and I missed it.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
just want to clarify, Randy, can I just clarify that this is
You bet.
this is a draft format. So there's dates in here. Those dates are not achievable at this point. So this is just more as an informational document. There's deadlines and things which are no longer possible for the submittal of the RFP. We have not issued this yet, so that will come hopefully soon.
Okay. Yeah, Mike, thanks for catching that too.
Yep, sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right, back to E, discussion possible action, agreement for land division improvements for Bergamot. Phase 5C, you have it in your packet. There's a map in there of what they're recommending they want to do. So the recommended motion is to approve the agreement. Someone like to make that a motion?
I'll go make it.
Okay, Jerry, thank you. Can I get a second?
Peter.
Amanda,
second.
thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Any other discussion on this one? Pretty straightforward, right, Mike?
Yep. I mean, this is common. Every time they do a phase, we do this type of agreement.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're on to F, discussion possible action regarding a lease agreement between Village of Oregon and DAJK LLC for the vacant lot located at 102 Alpine Parkway. The recommended motion is to approve the lease agreement. I don't know, Mike, you want, or somebody wanted to say, this is Dan Bertler's property, I think?
This is Dan being a great guy by allowing us to use his property for the playing season. This is basically north of Chad Miller's office and across the street from the new Village Hall. He has a vacant lot and he's gonna allow us to use it for playing fields this year.
Yeah, it looked like it was up to November of 2021.
November
You know,
15th.
whatever, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's very kind to him for $1.
It really is, yep.
Yeah. All right, can we get a motion for that approval?
I'll move.
Amanda and Derek, okay. Any other discussion? Always need more playing fields. seems.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, moving along. 12, communication miscellaneous business. Discussion and possible action regarding declaring Village Administrator Grace's village cell phone purchased in 2011 as surplus. Mike, you don't want to take that with you, you sure?
No, thank you. Nope, no, thank you.
All right. The recommended motion is
I've got my
to
use on
declare,
it. Thank you.
recommended motion is declare Mike's phone as surplus. Can I get a motion for that? All right, Amanda and Derek, very good. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You sure you couldn't get a lot for that if you sold it for parts or something?
Mike, maybe I should buy it since I don't have a cell phone.
Yeah, or you
Probably get it.
you can't put any apps on it. It's so old, so
All right, excellent. All right, we're on 12B, COVID-19 update and possible board action. Status of resolution 2105, COVID-19 emergency order. And our recommended motion is to approve Village Administrator Grace's recommendation not to extend the village emergency order. Mike, you want to say something?
So we've done this, I think, three times since COVID started. With Matt's help, I think we really were in a great position to respond really at that point, but last year at this time on a daily basis to COVID with the department head's support and input. But Matt and I really feel like we're past that and we're having regular meetings, and the need to have the administrator to have this much authority is not necessary anymore. So we feel comfortable recommending to not continue the emergency order at this point. Now, if COVID really comes back and we get another wave, then maybe Martin and Matt will come back and say, let's do it again. But we feel comfortable not extending it at this point.
Okay. So our recommended motion is recommended to not extend the village emergency order. Amanda?
And I would say,
Oh, yeah,
Mike,
Matt.
when does the current emergency order expire? Like today?
Today, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to take any action because it
Oh.
will expire. It will expire on its own.
Okay.
You don't, if you want to extend it though, then let us know and we'll deal with that. But you don't have to take any action. It will expire on its own.
But Matt, maybe I just thought for the record, it would be good for the board to show that we're not extending it. I just thought.
It doesn't harm either. I mean, if you want to make a motion to that effect, it won't, it won't do any, there's no harm done.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember, did we have a motion or?
I
not
have
to
a
extend?
question.
All right, Mike, let me get the motion on the table and then you can ask. Is that okay?
I'll make the motion so we
All
can
right,
discuss.
Amanda, who wants a second?
Bolliger seconded.
All right, Bollick. Okay, Mike, now we can.
So
do
does
some-
letting this expire change any of the current status quo with how meetings are conducted or anything else in village business?
There's a few things like the last village board extended the use of vacation time till the Labor Day of this year, but those have been separate motions by the board And this is basically just going back to regular order where the board's making these decisions versus the administrator.
So essentially keeping people where they have to call to get access to the village hall and all of that at the moment would stay in place until it's rescinded by the board.
Right, yeah, well, and that's something that, yeah, you know, whether you're gonna have in-person meetings and whether you're gonna have the village hall open is something that would be talked about at another meeting, right, Mike? Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Amanda, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I was just going to explain a little bit too, because the reason we put this in place was when COVID first started, things were changing so fast daily. You know, the orders were coming out fast and furious, and decisions had to be made regarding staff and protocols and all this. And so it was just easier to delegate these emergency powers to Mike to handle it in the moment. You know, there were some limitations on it, but you know, we trusted his leadership and his judgment, and I just wanted to commend him. You know, you did a great job during COVID. It was unprecedented, and you certainly didn't abuse these powers that we gave you. You used them as you needed to and exercised excellent judgment. So
Amanda, you're right. They were changing sometimes by the hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And what?
Yeah. Harleen?
Yeah, I agree with what Amanda has just said, and I'm thinking in terms of messaging, something like no longer needing those, and thinking about not wanting to send a message that says we're not still taking COVID seriously, and so just thinking in terms of how that messaging goes out, like there's still precautions being taken and blah blah blah. A lot of the things that Amanda said about changing circumstances. And also, I'm wondering if there is any information about the percentage of residents of the village who have been vaccinated, and thus reducing the exposure threat to people in general.
Mike, you want to? I don't know.
I'm not. Jenny, do you know during your meetings if they have it broken down by? You're saying no, yeah. And I didn't think I don't think they're broken down by community. How many people are vaccinated? I think it's by county, I believe. Yeah. What I was going to do is going to follow up to, but that's a good point, Carlene. Yeah, we're not saying at all. We're saying that COVID's over with, but we're just saying, like Amanda's saying, that every day emergency decisions we're making that's kind of gone away somewhat. Thankful for that. But one thing I want to make sure the new board members realize that when I was making a decision, like when we gave money to the food pantry, I always had, with Matt's recommendation, always had then the board at a subsequent meeting approve those policies or decisions I made. So for the record, the board was always supporting that. Yep.
Mike, you always told us what you were doing.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second to not extend the village's emergency order. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, and then B2 Oregon Bowls LLC alcohol beverage premise description. Mike, I know you made an exception. You just want to it's just FYI.
Yep, we did it just the timing, and I think I put Candy's email in there that she sent to the bowling alley. That, you know, this is only for this year that we'll be able to do this. If they want to change it, they need to change their description in the future.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's go to 12C, which is 2021 borrowing, and number one is Moody's maintained the village general obligation debt rating of capital A, small a2, which is a good thing.
Yep, that's a very good thing. Yep.
And then number two, Mike, do you want to say anything else about that?
I'd like to follow up with Mike's point. You know, we're always cognizant, Mike, of our debt rating, as it affects how much we borrow and what we're paying for. But I also just wanted to publicly thank Lisa and also Elise. It's the first time we had the village planner on the Moody's call, and I think it really made a point of, we were able to demonstrate about all the developments happening, and this is why we're borrowing all this money for these projects. And I think Natalie from Moody's acknowledged that, so I want to thank both for helping us keep our rating, which is very important. So thank you.
Okay, And then C2 is the possible action, board action is approving scope of engagement for the bond counsel, Quarles and Brady in the amount of 20,000. So Mike, I don't know if you just want to sort of just a quick explanation what that amount is being used for.
Yeah, so this was actually part of the borrowing that we do. We have to, when we borrow for projects and we borrow to cover the fees as part of the bond purchase. And this is what we pay our legal counsel, who oversees and takes responsibility for making sure what we're doing is legal. I think at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, we paid Ellers, our financial advisor, their fees, and this is just now the fees for the bond counsel.
Okay. All right, so possible action, Mike, you want a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, approving scope of engagement for bond counsel in amount of $20,000. Can we have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, very good. Any other questions or discussion on this? Mike, this basically is to protect us, to make sure everything is done.
We need this when you go out to borrow money. Yep.
Yeah.
To make what we're doing is right. Yep.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye. Oh, Amanda, do you have before we do it, do you have a question?
Candy, that was Wunsch first and Belo seconded.
That's who I was wondering. Thank you.
Right. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, very good. All right, we're on to 12D, which is discussion possible action, reading a proclamation by village board recognizing May 2nd through 8th, 2021 as Municipal Clerks Week. So our recommended motion is to approve the proclamation, and let's do the motions first, and then we'll read what for new board members. We're going to divide this up, and we're going to read this to get each of us will have a piece of this. Okay, so let's have the motion to approve first. Can I get a first?
I'll go make that.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, Carlene, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, opposed. All right, so let's see. Jerry, I gave you the first. So this is a proclamation recognizing May 2 through 8, 2021 as Municipal Clerks Week. Jerry, I'm going to have you start.
Okay.
Okay.
Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world as the oldest profession among public servants and
Amanda, please.
Okay. Whereas the year 2021 marks the 52nd annual National Municipal Clerks Week, initiated in 1969 by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, IIMC, and endorsed by all of its members throughout the United States, and
Arlene.
Whereas the Village of Oregon's Clerk Department, Candy, Joy, Peggy, and Melissa, provide the professional connections between the citizens, the governing bodies, and the agencies at the local, county, and state levels, and
Mike.
Whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all residents through transparency and accountable government practices, and
Derek.
Whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the responsibilities of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, focus groups, and annual conferences across Wisconsin.
Now, therefore, I, Oregon Village President Randy Glish, hereby proclaim May 2 through 8, 2021 as Municipal Clerks Appreciation Week, and further extend appreciation to our very own Clerks Department and all municipal clerks for their vital services as they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Dated third day of May 2021. All right, congratulations to our staff.
is someone getting you lunch this week or something?
Well,
Candy's always.
We have leftover cupcakes, so we'll use those too. But thank you, everybody.
and some baby food.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mike.
And
Thank
probably
you.
some rhubarb bars too, Mike, huh? All right, so we're on to 12. We're moving along. 12E, review of building permits, connection impact fees, and investments. It's, Mike, it's kind of a FYI, I take it for folks just to take a look at and
Yep.
see how we're doing
Yep.
compared to 2020.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, let's go to F. Discussion of possible action regarding resolution 21-31 in support of sufficient state aid to cover video service providers, VSPs, fee rate reduction. And we have a recommended motion to approve resolution 21-31. Mike, do you want to say anything before we take?
This is a resolution, basically asking the state to continue funding. They reduce the amount, for example, like that Spectrum has to pay us, or that their customers have to pay, and the state had made a commitment to make up that difference. And now it looks like they may not be doing that. So this group is asking the state to go back and recommit to doing that going forward in the upcoming state budget.
Okay. And Mike, I got an email, probably others did too, from Paul, saying that OCA Media supports this resolution.
Good. Yep.
Okay. So let's see. So can we have a motion to approve resolution 21-31? Mike?
Yep.
Okay, second, please.
Second.
All right, Carleen. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, perfect. And we're on to G, discussion possible action regarding public dance permit for the 2021 prom dance. Recommended motion is to approve the permit and waive the $10 fee. So I would take a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
All right, Jerry, thank you. And Amanda, second. Any discussion? So Mike, this is going to be outside. I
Right.
think I remember that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And we typically don't charge the school doesn't charge us, and we don't charge them for miscellaneous fees like this. So
yeah, Amanda, do you have a question or anything? Okay.
No, I was just going to point that out too, with the $10 fee, that waiving it. That's a.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Hold it.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah, I just want to state I'm going to vote in favor of this, but I really want to encourage them to follow through on making sure that people are masked at all times.
Yeah. Okay. Good point, Mike. Thank you. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right. Discussion. We're on H. Discussion and possible action regarding public works crew person revised job description. We'll have Jeff talk a little bit about this, but the recommended motion is to approve the job description. Jeff?
Actually, yeah, this is Candy and Peggy have been kind of working on freshening up job descriptions, getting them all into the right format, the kind of our new format, and this is the format. The only thing I'm going to ask that we change on this, and this is just something I just caught this afternoon, under the pay range, I'd like to just list that as varies, because I have many, I have 5 or 6 public works crew people, and their range is outside of that, depending on experience and that type of stuff. So I would just ask that we change that to varies instead of 19 to 22 per hour. That was a carryover from the advertisement we just sent out for the new position.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm wondering, would it be beneficial to put a starting at and just list the starting range so people have just the beginning of it so they know where some idea instead of just varies?
Well, the difficulty with that is it really depends on what level experience we're looking for at the time, and that's continually changing every year based off of market conditions and everything. So if we put starting at, say, 17, I mean, we're 18 today, it might be 20 next year, and that type of thing. So that's why until we get, and this will, one of the things we'll talk to Martin about, And Mike, I think had on your list is kind of a salary survey and kind of trying to get some uniformity in and some steps that we can actually put in this. And I'm sure we'll come back and update these all after we've gone through that process.
Well,
And
I just
Amanda,
figured you could, oh, sorry, Candy, go ahead.
just to say, when we advertise, we always put the range in the advertisement. This is just the job description. So it's always, the range is always noted in the actual ad itself.
Yep, correct.
Okay,
Each time we go out, yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Andy, that helps because if somebody's looking for a job and they saw varies, it's like, well, I don't know what the salary is, but you make a good point. If the position is posted somewhere and it's got a range, that's exactly what they want to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
Carlene,
this
did
is
you have
just our job description.
Yeah.
That makes more
Carlene, a
sense.
follow up?
That I had the same concern as
All right.
Amanda, and I was going to
Okay.
just suggest a floor, but
Okay.
that makes total sense.
So Jeff, do you want that change that varies as part of the motion, or can we just do that? Mike?
I think you can just make that change.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have the recommended motion is to approve the job description before us. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What was who made the motion and
I
second?
don't have a motion, yeah.
You don't? Well,
I
then
don't
I'll
have
make one. All right, let's have a motion then.
I'll make it.
All right. I'll
Peterson.
get Carlene and then Amanda second,
Good.
okay?
Good.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. It's sometimes hard to keep track of the stuff. We'll do it. I'll get better at it.
You're doing just fine, and thank you. But if this is a good time for me to jump in, I apologize. If you can, when you're making a motion, if you can just say your name, so that kind of might help us, because there's so many people on this call that it's hard to keep track of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Thank
And
you.
I don't know all your voices yet, but we'll get there.
Okay.
Do you prefer a last name or a first name?
Whichever you prefer. It's
Amanda,
fine.
we're friendly here. You
Yeah.
can say
Okay.
your name.
Just trying to make it easier.
Yeah.
Let's say last name then. There we go.
All right. last.
Okay.
All right, we're on to I, which is discussion possible action regarding premises description, the Chocolate Caper, 105 South Main Street. Recommend motion, approve premises description for the Chocolate Caper. Do we want some background before, or do you want somebody to feel pretty good about making a motion for this? Amanda? You want to make a motion?
Peterson, yeah, Peterson.
All right, Peterson. All right. Can we get a second?
Wunsch.
All right, Wunsch. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Elise or anybody want to say anything about this?
This would be more Candy's thing.
Or Candy? Sorry.
Yeah, I honestly don't even remember why he was changing it. It was very
Minor.
very minor. So
Okay.
he's very good about keeping it very up to date. So
Okay. All right, so we got a motion and a second. Oh, Amanda, yeah?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is it in relation to the alcohol storage? Was that, because if they're doing, did they get their alcohol license for the Kickback Cafe yet?
yes, they did, and that's exactly what it is. The rear
Okay.
storeroom at the end of the two restrooms shared with Kickback Cafe.
Oh.
Right,
Thanks
because you
for
have
the-
to be
thanks
very
for the reminder.
specific about where you store alcohol when you have an alcohol license.
Yes, and Dan does a very good job in both of his applications, so.
Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the premises description for the Chocolate Caper. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent. Okay, we're on to J. Discussion possible action regarding memorandum of understanding between the Wisconsin Department of Justice and law enforcement agencies for the Wisconsin Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. The recommended motion is to approve the memorandum of understanding MOU and authorizing Chief Begenkopf to sign the MOU.
I'll
You
go
want to
make
know
that motion.
background first, or Jerry, you making a motion?
Yep.
Okay, can we get a second? Amanda, okay, we got a first and second. Discussion. Somebody want to, Chief, or anybody want to say anything about this before we vote?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
All right.
This MOU is an agreement we've been in with DOJ for Department of Justice for quite some time. They have a task force that where they specifically investigate internet crimes against children. And they work with as many agencies as they can, including our agency, and develop affiliates. So we have 3 within our police department who are currently ICAC affiliates. And it really is only to our benefit. It allows us grant resources, training opportunities, and most importantly, technical assistance in these investigations. Usually it's involving an electronic device, and DOJ's got the best equipment to investigate it, as well as the technicians that come with. So they're very, very helpful. All of the terms that we need to meet as an affiliate are on page 3 of this 7 out of the document. And all 9 items that we have to fulfill, we already do, and we can easily continue to do. We have very successful investigations in working under this MOU.
All right, any questions for the chief on this? Okay, we got a motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, K is FYI, Trustee Stitch will need to take a leave of absence from our village board and village committees for a period of time. So just wanted to give you that update. And then we can go to I is discussion and possible action. Approve removing Trustee Stitch from the following committees commission during his leave of absence. 1 is the Park Board, 2 is the Personnel, Public Safety and Protection Committee, and 3 is the Fire EMS District Commission. So the recommended motion is to approve the motion. Can I get a first? Amanda, thank you. Can I get a second? All right, Mike. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, opposed. All right, perfect. All right, kind of relates to M. Discussion of new appointees by me. No action, board action is required. So to fill Luke's position on the Park Board, Carlene will take that for now. Carlene has also agreed to be on the Personnel, Public Safety and Protection Committee. So we don't need any action on that, just fill in for Luke while he's away for a bit. Okay, and we can go to N, which is discussion. This needs possible action. New appointment to the Fire EMS Commission. Recommended motion is to approve me to fill in for Luke while he's gone. Appointment on the Fire EMS Commission. So I'm currently on, and I'll stay on until Luke comes back. So I'll entertain a motion for that, please. Okay, Amanda, Carlene, thank you. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And we're on to O, discussion of my appointment of Amanda to the OCA Media Board for a term expiring April 2022. No board action required. And Amanda, I just want to make sure I know you have some interest of doing this, correct?
Yeah, I think what happened is it got missed when all the appointments went through. So, but I enjoy very much serving on that committee. So
okay,
thank you.
You were on it. No board action required. Go for it. Okay, we're on to P, which is 2021 goals. And I'm requesting that board members email their top 3 goals to new village administrator Shanks by Thursday, May 13th. The goals will be discussed at the May 17th board meeting. I'm just asking, I just want to know what are your top 3 goals for the next year? What do you think the top 3 goals should be as a village board? If you can get those to Administrator Shanks. Yeah, Amanda.
Yeah, just a question. Are you kind of thinking like big overarching goals, or are you looking for something like smaller, what we personally want to, goal that we want to work towards? Or
Well, I think I'm thinking as a board together, what should we be focusing on? Like the example I want to give is when Jeannie, remember when we made the workforce housing was kind of a priority for the village board. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think? What are your top 3 goals that you think the village board should be trying to tackle, whether it's the library or senior center, or whatever you, that way it just sort of gives us all an idea of kind of what are we all thinking, and what should we be focusing on over the next year? Sound fair enough?
Sure. Thank you.
You bet. All right. Boy, we're moving along here. We're doing good.
Randy,
Yeah.
Bollig has a question.
Yes, Jerry Bollock.
Item P. Is Martin gonna post his email online pretty soon? So we can respond to that?
Martin, got a question for you tonight.
My email is created and I assume it will be posted on the website.
Okay. Thank you.
Mike, you can't leave until that's done.
Just for everybody, we planned on doing it tomorrow. We didn't want to kick Mike Grace off too soon, so.
Deactivate me, right?
All right, excellent. All right, we're on cue. Is just a reminder to anybody watching, village residents, to apply for the 2021 the terrace tree program. For those of you who don't know, we have $15,000 in the budget to help reimburse. You can get up to $100 per tree. Actually, my 2 trees that I applied for are getting installed this week. It's a great program. Just everybody think about all those emerald ash borers that we lost, last year or so. So we're trying to sort of, and to be honest, trees in a terrace look much better than no trees at all, believe me. So we just want to remind people that we have that $15,000. And Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, and Jeff, that we need to use it by what day?
Go ahead, Jeff.
End of this year.
End of this year.
But
otherwise it goes away.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is, or Lisa was mentioning the other day, that, if we should have the money committed for terrace trees by, Lisa, did you say August or September?
If we could have them committed by the end of August, because if you start, whatever funds are left over, then the Public Works Department can use those funds then to plant trees in the parks, and you don't want to plant too late into the fall.
Yeah. And I would say anybody listening to, now is the time. The selection of trees is probably the best right now to try to get them. As the longer you wait, the harder it is to find some good trees, I think. And you can get the trees anywhere you want. We're not dictating where you get the trees. And Jeff, what's the caliber, the minimum caliber? 1.5?
1 inch. I think it's 1 inch. Yes.
1 inch caliber. We just want that just to give them a good start when they're planted in the ground. So tell everybody I know there's been some people interested. So we want lots of trees planted. So, okay.
Randy?
Yeah,
Randy?
Mike.
This is a great program. I love it. What's the uptake then on this? I mean, how many people have applied, or?
I don't know. Jeff's the approval guy.
Yeah. So far, I think we have about 15 people that have applied,
So there's still some money. So it's
There's still plenty of money and yep. But we tend to get a few in every week, which is nice. And I've seen some things out there on Facebook of people posting about it, and I know the information's right on our front page of our web page.
Yeah.
You can download the application, and it has tree types and planting guide and all that type of stuff.
And Jeff is pretty fast. I got mine approved in 1 day. So
you're also my boss.
Well, no, won't say that. But also want to remind, sometimes, like for me, I had to get mine approved by my homeowners association first. Because some people have to remember that they have to get that approval as well. And then get the village to approve. So it's a good program. And, you know, we're already looking at funding for next year. DNR has got some programs that we hope to look at to sort of get some more funding for more trees. So I think it's something that we're going to continue. We kind of did this as a pilot, but I think it's going to be more and more popular. It's a good thing for the village.
Absolutely.
So, okay. All right, we're on to R, which is discussion, possible action. Vanderwall's scope of work for 2021 comprehensive plan amendment. Recommended motion is to Vanderwall's scope of work for 2021 comprehensive plan amendment in amount of $3,260. At fiduciary will reimburse the village $1,000 for the comp plan amendment costs. Anybody want to say from staff anything about this, or Mike?
I think Elise, this is Lisa's project.
Elise, okay.
Yeah, I can speak to this a little bit. I was just trying to see if there was a description of the property. So there are two properties the village is looking to update in our comprehensive plan. One is our new village hall site at 101 Alpine Parkway, and then the lot just to the south there, 153 Alpine Parkway. And then the lot that is owned by Mary Jo Lease at the corner of Netherwood and North Main Street, just updating that to have a little bit more of a mix of uses and mix of residential opportunities there. And then fiduciary, that's done, you know, development in Bergamot, is looking to expand the townhomes. And they've gone to the planning commission, conceptually have kind of their blessing to move forward. So the first step in that approval right there at Bergamot and CC is to get the comprehensive plan change from planned business to sort of a mixed residential. So the comprehensive plan process will go through the planning commission and then to the board through the early summer, and then any, you know, zoning approval, site plans, things like that would be coming at later dates.
Okay. All right, so the motion is to approve Vanderwall's scope of work for this comprehensive plan amendment in the amount of $3,260. It looks like $1,000 of it will come back to us. So if I can get a motion for that on the table. All right, Amanda, can I get a second, please? Mike, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Pretty straightforward, I think. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Okay. All right, we're on to S, update regarding street projects. Jeff, I don't know, do you want me to just read them or you want to say something about them?
Just say something real quick. You've probably seen the barricades starting to go up on the side streets on North Main Street. Our contractor, which is Speedway Sand and Gravel, will be mobilizing hopefully this week and as we get through this week. And they'll start working on the sanitary stuff first, working their way northward to start then on the water main. And we just are encouraging people to, if they don't have to just take a bypass, or if they can take a bypass route like Market Street or Oak Street or Burr Oak, any of those type of things, to take alternate routes would be great. And then just as an FYI, with just so many things going on this spring, and quite honestly, I don't think we're going to hit a good bidding environment right now either. So we're going to actually postpone the Janesville Street and Perry Parkway intersection improvement project so that we will bid that this winter for construction in spring, rather than trying to do a late season construction this year. And I think that'll help us out in the bidding environment and will allow us to work out a few kinks, namely making sure we get our right of way worked out, because we do have a few additional small pieces of right of way we need to acquire.
All right. Questions or comment? Amanda?
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was worth our time to put up signage for an alternate route for people to use, or maybe we don't want to designate one. Just to kind of lessen the traffic and help the construction out.
Yeah, there's the county does put up detour signage, and that's actually already up. And, honestly, for projects such as this, where it's, a lot of just local traffic, it's really, really challenging to sign all of that. We are going to add some signage, business is still open, and work with the chamber on if there's anything that we need to do to advertise that so that, businesses aren't impacted greatly during this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
Is it possible at all to put some sort of electronic speed sign on Market Street? I know there's a lot of concern about residents in that area and how fast people go down Market Street currently.
Chief, you can mention this, but I mean, we do have a portable speed trailer, and we can definitely, I'm sure they can put that out and we can collect data. And there can also be some enforcement that we can do back there as well. Correct? Is that?
Yeah, so
Speaking for you,
typically,
Jenny, but yeah.
yeah, so typically we want to be, so if we get a complaint, we want to be as most effective as we can when we put an officer out there. So what we'll do, like Jeff said, is we'll put the speed trailer out there and look at that data and hone in on, is it specific times? Is it specific days? And then we'll put that officer out right at those times. If we don't see any issues, though, we'll also so if there is somebody that specifically is noticing this issue, whatever we decide to do, if it's no enforcement because there is no issue, or we did heavy enforcement, here's what we found, we always report back to that person that originally complained about the speed issue.
Yeah, I guess what I was looking for potentially is one of your electronic speed signs that, I mean, those seem to be really effective at getting people to slow down.
The permanent ones. Gotcha. That's more Jeff's.
Yeah, I don't think the traffic on Market other than in a temporary basis during people, and I don't expect a lot of traffic on Market because a lot of it'll be local traffic just for like getting to your place and that type of stuff, Mike. I've been down Market quite a bit, and the problem with having too much signage like that is people then stop to even pay attention of it. So we tend to put it on major thoroughfares like we've done on County Highway MM. We've done it in front of the schools where there's school, those are the flashing beacons. We've done it coming in on Netherwood or County Highway CC Jefferson Street, where we're getting people coming from out of the town in, and those type of situations.
So Mike, just so I understand, that's just a future agenda item, right? That's not related to the street projects, is it?
Well, I mean,
No, I'm not Mike Lunch.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, it was.
All right.
Well,
So-
it is related to the street project because I was expecting there's going to be a fair more amount more traffic coming down Market Street.
Yeah. All right.
Variation of that. I don't want a permanent sign there. I just know. For instance, the corner of Grove and Market, I've heard a number of complaints from people that live there about how people whip around that corner.
All right. So Mike, here's what I suggest. Let's get that on a future agenda to get it on the agenda item. So, because we don't want to veer off the agenda, because then the public doesn't know it was on the agenda and we're talking about something else. Okay?
We can put the temporary sign. We can put the temporary speed radar sign, which can operate in many different modes and that type of stuff. We can track it and collect data and work with the chief on, if there's enforcement that needs to be done. And I mean, that's kind of on all projects, we kind of are monitoring how things are going as we go through the project as well. And as the project progresses at different phases, those traffic patterns will also change.
Okay.
Okay, Mike, you good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right, excellent. Okay, so T is discussion, possible action. Jeff Summer LTE, hire for Public Works. Recommend a motion to approve the hiring of Derek Bell, Ed Zick, and Nicole Cochins for summer LTE positions pending approval of pending background evaluations by the Oregon Police Department. You're getting a jump on it, Jeff, huh?
Yeah, well, there's one of them that is ready to start right off the bat, and two others as soon as school wraps up here. So this is typically what we've done in the past. We've vetted them for their experience and work ethics and stuff, and then we send for a tier 1 evaluation down to Oregon PD. They do a great job with that, and then typically it's just contingent upon passing that. That would be the qualifier.
Okay. All right, so we're looking for a motion for to approve the hiring of these 3 folks as LTE positions, pending the background evaluations by the Oregon PD. I'll take a motion.
That should.
All right, Derek and Carleen, any other discussion on these? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent. All
Thank
right. We're on to you. Is discussion possible action regarding staffing and transition public works, and there's two recommended motions. Let's take the first one first. Recommended motion number 1 is motion authorize the Director of Public Works to solicit letters of interest and interview candidates for a street superintendent position with Public Works. And Mike, I know for the new board members, those of us already on the board, you have talked to us about this in the past. So why don't you give us a little background so we can bring everybody up to speed?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, so, we have not seen a structure change really in our department in a very, very long time. And, we've grown considerably. We have, a staff of 14 right now, including myself. And what we're trying to do is be able to kind of divide some of the responsibilities to kind of allow us to operate a little more efficiently. And then as we grow, this provides the model for us to be able to grow. I've worked with other communities and looked at their structure. This is not a new plan or idea, but being able to create superintendent positions, such as a street superintendent, as you will see in my org chart there, my proposed org chart, is that we will eventually look towards adding a utility superintendent. I'm still deciding whether I would look at that for next year or the following year. But then this just allows, and eventually we would probably bring up a parks superintendent as our parks program and our parks system gets larger, obviously, with JC, Highlands of Netherwood, and Westside Park. So what this type of structure just allows some of these projects to move more efficiently. Unfortunately, sometimes my desk with just so many things going on can kind of be a bottleneck. And Mike and I have talked about this a lot. This is part of our growth, and this is part of the direction we're going. I'm proposing this as an internal hire if we can find the qualified candidate and an interested qualified candidate. And the reason internal hire strictly is because for this type of position, it requires someone who is, should be accepted and trusted by the staff and respected. And also someone kind of that may have the many years of experience that it takes to understand really what's making our village tick on a day in, day out basis. All the tasks we have, how we have effectively and efficiently done things in the past. So that's the reasoning and methodology behind the street superintendent position.
And Jeff, am I correct? You have this in the budget, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions for Jeff before we take yeah, Mike?
Jeff, these are working manager positions, right?
Correct. They're gonna it'll be a split time. Honestly, there'll be times where they'll be in their office quite a bit, going through bills, vouchers, equipment ordering, all that type of stuff, or special projects. But they will also be out in the field working on the crews and everything like that. Yeah, I'm not pulling this person in 100% of the time.
Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, Jerry.
Another question for Jeff. I assume that as you work through the process of determining how those are going to function, that you'll also bring forward how they're going to be paid for?
Correct. Yeah, we, I did an evaluation last year where and the only reason we can be doing this right now is because there's obviously Gary's retiring. We have some other people retiring. It allows us to be able to work financially so that the increase for 2021 in the approved budget was actually fairly small considering the size of the budget of our staff. I mean, it was, I think, $5,000. The impact, I think, for next year's budget will be about $12,000 before we do if there's not any cost of living increase or something like that. But yeah, there'll be ways that we will have to work with Martin and Lisa as we move forward to go along with this plan.
Great. I assume we'll visit this in depth at budget time, right?
Yep. Every year.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, so this is our first recommended motion. Authorize Director of Public Works to solicit letters of interest, interview candidates for a street superintendent position within Public Works. So I will take a motion for that. Derek and Mike. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, then we have a recommended second motion, and that's to authorize Director of Public Works solicit and interview candidates for newly created position of Village Engineer / Assistant Director of Public Works. Jeff, do you want to just?
Yeah. So as part of the structure, going back to that org chart there, you can see where what we've kind of done is, things have become more and more technical every year as in Public Works. We see a lot of communities doing kind of what Oregon did when they hired me is, I have a very extensive engineering background, master's degree in engineering and those type of things, really are beneficial to communities. And so what we're looking for is someone with technical background, probably engineering degree, maybe 4 to 7 years experience, someone that would be a very handy person to be able to handle some project management, some project facilitation, be able to work with our utility groups. Right now, our utility groups, my utility staff operate phenomenally well. I mean, they just keep our plants operating, they keep our equipment operating, but we're not doing a lot when it comes to the project long-term planning and everything like that. And that's where future utility superintendent, but for the time being, I look at using this assistant director and village engineer position to be able to do that. As you'll see in my memo with this would be we see 100% outside hire. I don't believe that person is on staff with us right now in our Public Works department, but that would be an outside hire. And then we would go through a review process, interview process. And I'm proposing that we'd have the village administrator, myself, probably someone from the clerk's office, village board president, and probably 1 or 2 of my staff members as determined to be able to assist us with that selection process.
Okay, Jeff, and this is in the budget as well, yes?
Yep, it's all part of the approved budget for last year, yes.
All right. Any other questions before we have a vote? Mike, yeah, go ahead.
So this is more of a straight up office position.
This is going to be an office position, correct? Yeah, this person would be located at the old bank building up there on Alpine Parkway.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I'll entertain a motion for Public Works, solicit interview candidates for village engineer / assistant director of Public Works. I'll take a motion for that. Mike? Okay, yep. And Amanda? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you. And we'll be bringing both those candidates back to you for final approval.
Okay. All right, we're on to 13. Report of committees. We have none. 14, minutes not requiring action, none. 15, unfinished business, we have none. 16, no new business, we have none. And then 17 is future agenda items. You see there's a couple things. OCA Media's quarterly report, a possible May 17th board meeting to discuss annexation of the former Tarkington project. And a future board meeting talk about, this has been on our list for a while, recent compliance checks by the police department. D is the park shelter fees. And then E is the preparing the citizen guide for assistance in understanding the roles of village board and police commission as they relate to the oversight of the police department. So those will be coming at some point for us. And we are, folks, not too bad, at the end of we're ready for an adjournment.
I'll go make that motion.
All right, and Amanda, did you
Peterson, second.
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 All right, so Martin, we'll see you at 4 a.m. and Mike, you get to sleep in.
I'm going to do that tomorrow. Thank you, Randy.
Favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey,
All right.
good luck, Mike. Enjoy
Thank
your
you.
retirement.
Thank
Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Martin, welcome.
You.
Get some sleep, Martin.